Mary Harbo on The Lifestyle Show.
Okay, this is really exciting because the culmination of our conversation about travel irons is about to happen now, because we're joined on the line by Cathrin Bradbury, whose book is called This Way Up. But it was almost going to be called Travel Irons and Other Stories. Is that right? Cathrin, hello, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me here. Yes, it was almost called Travel Irons and Other Stories because I was sitting at a nail salon as I was writing this book, and there was a woman I didn't know sitting beside me about my age, and we got on to, I told her I was writing about the age I am now, and somehow we got onto travel irons. We had both been in Paris in 1974. I think it was 1974, and we had each carried travel irons with us. She'd carried a travel iron as a weapon for the men who were harassing her as a 17-year-old girl walking in the streets. And of course, the person who was with us, who was doing our nails, was just mystified. She was like, travel iron? The concept completely eluded her.
Yeah, we just had that conversation with Mary Carmen, who was helping me produce the program today, and she got no idea. And the whole idea of putting a travel iron in your suitcase when you go on holiday so that you can iron your clothes and look pristine. Obviously, it's something that's completely past the new generation.
Even the idea of ironing is past this generation, don't you think? I mean,
exactly.
I still iron my clothes, not with a travel iron, but I don't think my children do.
Lovely to come and actually to meet you, because I was telling listeners, I feel like I know you. I mean, this is an incredibly personal book. It's you're putting it all out there, all of your feelings. Had you intended to do this, or did it kind of happen as you started to write?
I guess it happened as I started to write. I knew I was following a kind of glinting thread to old age. That's what I told myself, like, what is old? And then the question became, where is old? And I got this idea that maybe I could locate it on a map. It was one of those strange 3 a.m. ideas. And I started to talk to a lot of map experts. And, you know, here's the funny thing about map experts. When you say to them, I need a map to my old age, they don't bat an eye. They're like, oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, come on in. Let's talk. Like, they're just so excited about the journey, whatever form it takes. So, and what form mine took was to really have to go way inside, like to go this way up, as you know, you have to go this way down. Like you have to really delve into yourself and who you are now. And you know, especially at this age, don't you find it a very interesting, productive time of life?
I find it quite fascinating. I know this conversation is not about me, but I would never in a million years have thought I would find myself back here. I hadn't done a program for 16 years. And one of the other presenters here on TRE, Hannah Murray, she had the idea. She said, where? Mary, why don't you come back and sit in for people? I can't do that. I mean, technology has all changed. And suddenly, yes, I think it is Actually, I think it's really rather a lovely time of life. I'm very happy with it now.
I really love it. I think I look back on, I just turned 70, and I think I look on to my 60s as really a terrific decade. I mean, you know, I am quite an optimist. I say at one point in the book, I used to long to have grown up on a bleak moor. I felt really like my life was so dull. My whole family wakes up singing. But optimism is actually a pretty good quality to have as you're aging. It actually, studies show that the more positive you are about aging, the better you do on memory tests and hearing tests and all those kinds of things. So I don't regret having that. I do find, I try to think of where I am now as kind of an arrival of who my best self might yet be. You know, who are people going to remember me by? And I think we all know people who, as they get older, they start to become fearful or angry or set. And I think if you can think of it as, well, here I am in this sort of land of old right now. Who am I? Who do I want to be for the next 10 or 20 or 30 years?
I found it quite fascinating reading your book because it is obviously very personal. It is a memoir. You pull out these tiny little vignettes of conversations, which really they're just life, but they're interesting. I don't know quite why they're interesting or why I felt compelled to turn the pages because, they're your story. It's not my story. It's your story. But I think it does resonate with a lot of people. And just coming back to the map, if we may, for a moment, it's not the same using Waze or Google Maps. You need a piece of paper, don't you?
The piece of paper is fantastic. And people, map curators who make their life looking at paper, and they're not opposed to Google Maps, but Google Maps make you see the world in a very specific way. And it's kind of this turn, the next turn, this turn, the next turn, whereas the map gives you the big picture. And what I ended up doing, not exactly intentionally, but I looked at where I came from on the map. I'm from Ontario, Canada. I live in Toronto. And then I went back to where I began. And I think we all carry the idea of our big lives in our head. But to my surprise, I had only moved an inch on the map. Like I began on the other side of the lake from where I live now. And that surprised me. And then I started to talk to people about, well, where was the map going? Where was the map going? And most of the map curators said, well, that's something that the map can't tell you. We don't know where we're going. Until one professor at the University of British Columbia said, well, the maps are going off map. The end of the map is death. And so in some ways, at this point in life, I'm working my way toward an acceptance that death is on the journey with me. I've never wanted it to be. I don't like it. But death kind of became more companionable as I wrote the story. As people very dear to me became quite sick, and one young woman even died while I was writing the book. So that made me think a lot more about.
You didn't actually write about her death, but I think we all knew it was kind of inevitable. And somehow in your book also, sometimes it's the things you actually haven't written about, which speak quite a lot of volumes about other possibilities and things. And I would like to ask you, if I may, also sort of personally about the sort of dating experience, because I think this is quite interesting for anybody who finds themselves on their own for whatever circumstances in their late 60s or 70s, or it never stops. You suddenly got ping, an email from the first man you'd ever loved.
Sure, that's exactly it. Ping. At 9:30 in the morning on February 4th. And yes, it was the first boy I'd ever loved, the first boy I'd ever had sex with. And I think this is more common than it used to be, with social media opening up connections. And we started a very meaningful relationship, I think, for both of us. One of the things I learned very quickly was that the whole idea that love becomes calm and sane and pretty, and those pictures you see of couples with gray hair on the beach, and no, put all that to rest. Like, love is as chaotic and up and down and huge and frightening and exciting at 70 as it is at 17. I figured that out right away. So yeah, it was really something, especially since we had this connection from when we were young. It was like I was discovering 17-year-old Cathrin at the same time I was discovering 70-year-old Cathrin with this person. So that became very interesting. And then, of course, as you say, it just became part of the book. I mean, I was in the middle of writing the book and I thought, oh, this is an interesting story. And I asked him how he felt. He's a psychiatrist and he's very sanguine about these things. He was like, your story of me is your story of me. It's not me. So I was like, okay, here I go. You're in the book.
But only with an initial.
Yes, only he's actually the only person who's just initialed. Yeah.
When you came back from your first, and it wasn't really a date, but your walk with him, we join you then, and it's all very visual about how you write, sort of downing a bottle of wine in the kitchen, completely discombobulated. You don't actually say how you're feeling, but I mean, we really get this picture from the conversation. And then I think it's really fascinating because there's this intergenerational thing again with your tenant coming in and saying, well, how could you possibly have exchanged emails all that time and not gone out and seen him? Because the etiquette now is maximum 3 days.
My mind was blown. I felt like Moses getting the tablet from God on the mountain. I mean, I was just like, she was like, Cathrin, just as you said, you do not email with someone for more than 3 days before you meet because expectations build up and a vision builds up. And then one or both of you is disappointed. And we've been emailing for months. I was like, oh, okay. And then the other thing she said was, and when you do meet, you agree in advance how you will greet each other. So she said when she met her boyfriend, this woman was 26, 25. She said when we met for the first time, we agreed in advance that we would not touch each other in any way, not hold hands, not hug, not kiss, just walk and meet. And I was like, oh my God, I should have talked to you before, because he immediately embraced me in a huge hug. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not ready for this. So
interesting, because I think that probably most women listening of our age, if you will, would have no idea about that. And it makes perfect sense. If you want to shake hands, if you want to kiss, if you want to hug, you say it before so you don't have that horrible surprise that
yes, we're not part
embarrassing too.
Yeah, we're not part of that world, but the younger generation is. So yeah, if you're going to do it, my advice is talk to someone who's in their 20s before you get into something to get some tips from them on modern dating. I told everyone I knew like it was the hottest breaking news. It was like, did you know? Agree who you're going to meet.
And everybody else. So yeah, we knew that anyway. I feel that, as will anybody who reads your book, that I know not only you, I know your family, I know your friends. And I was getting to the point where I was thinking, what did they think of all of this? When actually you answered that question yourself. I think in the penultimate chapter, you say that you've shown everybody what you've written about them. But I did wonder particularly about your sister Anne and the poking, because she had this annoying habit of poking. And, and I would imagine that that's stuck with her. Poor woman. I mean, did she mind? Do they mind? Did they mind? Do they, now that it's out in print, mind?
Well, they're all just reading it.
Right.
Full package. So I'm beginning to get some thoughts from them. But I thank my siblings and family so much for their incredible generosity. It's really a lot to put someone on a page. They, as my sister Anne said when I asked her, she said it's like you're snapped by a photographer, and you say, well, wait. That's not me, or it's just one version of me. But now it's there. And I have noticed that once you write something down, it's the version that everybody remembers. So Anne, for all eternity, well, I say I go on for eternity, but Anne is now a poker. And she did say to me, because we shared a bed on a sibling holiday, which we still go on in our 70s and 60s. And she said, you're a moaner, Cathrin. You moan in your sleep, which I hadn't known I did. So I said, well, I guess if I were writing the book, I'd be a moaner, but I'm writing a book. So
you're the poker. I get to do that. Also, I think it was incredibly honest of you to paint this picture of when your son and your daughter-in-law come to live with you with a new baby, and it would be so easy just sort of gloss over it. But it was a difficult transition. It didn't really work out as anybody planned. And you seemed to not be aware of it falling apart. It seemed to fall apart and you didn't know.
Yeah, I decided to put that in, and I really did struggle. But, so many of us, it's hard to talk about our children and the fear and sorrows we have sometimes with them. And everyone does. I don't know anyone who hasn't had various times with their children, some truly desperate and some not so desperate. And we've been saying, my friends and I have been saying, we need to talk to each other more about this. So I thought, well, let's put it in. So they moved in for about 18 months as they were getting settled in Toronto. And when I think back now, my God, my daughter-in-law's from Guatemala, new country, new language. My son had a new job. They just got married. They had a new baby. I had just retired. So I didn't realize how crazy I was. Like, you know what that's like. I was just kind of like, I thought I was holding it all together, but I was really kind of frightened myself. So, yeah, I think that's the downside of optimism. It can be a bit hollow because I'm dancing along saying we just couldn't be happier. Everyone is so happy all the time. And then the next thing I know, they're sitting me down in the kitchen saying, we're not really happy living with you. It seems like you want to spend so much time writing and not so much time with us. And we're looking for another place. So that was a mirror moment for myself. And things are wonderful now, optimism again, but they are, things have worked out. But it was tough, and it was a bit of a struggle to decide whether or not to put it in the book. Some people thought I shouldn't have, but with their permission, I did.
I wonder why they thought you shouldn't have, because it happened and it's part of life. And I think it makes it so much more relatable for everybody else when they look at their own life, and things aren't always perfect. They don't always work out as you want them to.
No, things are really, really hard in life. And, so thank you for saying that, because, of course, I still worry that, should I have put this in or that in, or was that too much or not enough? I don't have any desire to write another book about myself.
I was wondering that, because it's such an unusual form of sort of memoir, autobiography. I'd never read anything like this before. And was interesting. And I couldn't understand why I was interested, because, with greatest respect, you're not a famous person. You're just a person facing retirement and a new phase in her life, as are so many of us. But certainly, I could say that you really captured something very special. A little bit reminiscent of Eat, Pray, Love, maybe? Have other people said that?
I don't think anyone said that to me exactly, but I do think it's a journey. I think the book is a journey, and that word is overused. I apologize for using it. It's a bit of a trip, and I hope that many, many, many people are going through the same things right now. Our generation, there's a lot of us, of shifting from a life of work and big lives of work and children and family and partners to something much more contemplative and inner. And for me, what happened also was a kind of second career. I've been a news editor my whole life, and a kind of second career as a writer started to come out in my 60s. And I don't know if you found this, but it's like there's a shadow career in yourself kind of there percolating. I think that often happens, and suddenly people pick up a paintbrush that they had done when they were young, or found a new vocation, or yeah.
It is a difficult transition. I think it's one that's also not spoken about perhaps as much as I'm really glad we're speaking about it now, because for so many of us, if you do have a career and you have dedicated all of your life to that career, you kind of become Cathrin the editor, or Cathrin the journalist, or Cathrin and actually, as you say, there is this other person perhaps that's got to emerge, but like with any sort of evolution, it's not always smooth. It can be difficult, can be bumpy, can be really weird. I mean, I love your analogy also with lists. I can so go through this with the, I was actually listening, Hannah from the book show is here in the studio too. She'll love this bit too, because I was just going to say, Hannah, we're speaking to Cathrin Bradbury here. I didn't want to put you on the hot spot too. But I know Hannah's like me. She's a list person. She writes down, you start a day with a to-do list. Cathrin went through her whole working life with to-do lists. And you had to suddenly let go of those lists. And it was a big thing. It was a big deal.
It was really big. I mean, when I kept them for some reason. And when I was writing the book, I opened them up and it was like I was planning the invasion of Normandy every single day. I mean, my list pages were insane. They were cramped and they were geographically organized, which I still like in a list. So, top for personal things and down the side for things to do with people and the tasks for the day. And it was like just crazy. And now my lists, I still keep a list, but they're more like bag. That would be number one. And I'm like, what bag? Where, like, I don't have any details. Or at the drugstore. I'm like, okay, right, I have to go to the drugstore. I'm not sure what I have to get. So my days have expanded like a concertina. It's just like, and I can get lost in an item on the list for a long time, wondering why I put it there and what it really is trying to tell me. So the lists have changed for sure. But, I look back, I mean, we all think about regret sometimes. And I look back and I think, God, I wish I could have spent more time thinking about what mattered in the day and less time making a list of what to do in the day. Now, is that really possible when you're 40, and everything is full? I think that's...
I don't know. I'm going to ask Hannah because she's in that generation there. Listen to us. We're the voices of wisdom.
I'm listening. Absolutely.
Do you think you are very focused? I mean, you are incredible. Hannah's so busy. I mean, what she fits into 24 hours is just unbelievable. So I'm guessing you write it down. You have lists. Do you?
Yes and no. I mean, it's through having the privilege of interviewing people like Cathrin that makes you think, yes, and makes you take a step back and think about what's important. And the pandemic definitely gave that to us, I think, with all its negatives. It did make people think what's important, who's important, and maybe reevaluate how to spend our time. And, the people always say, if you can find a job that you love, then that's amazing and can make a huge difference to your day and your life, can't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And, dailiness has its own grace, really. Like I lived in the land of dailiness as a daily news editor. And I'm sure that's what life is like for you too. Like just, today it's a new day. And there's stuff to be said for that too. It's a new day.
It is.
Okay.
I want to thank you so much for your time today. As I was saying to listeners before we spoke, I really feel I know you. Which, I mean, people must find it really weird when you're going out and doing book signing because everybody's read your innermost thoughts.
I know. As I say, it came over me at about 60 and I can't shut up about myself, but I think my next book might be about a garden or something.
That would be great. Well, please get in touch when it's there because we'd like to talk to you again. I'm absolutely certain about that. And to tell everybody that your book is called This Way Up. It's available on the TRE. We've got a nice sort of book page.
Yes, absolutely. On the website. Yeah.
It'll go there. So thank you so much for your time today. It's been lovely to talk to you.
Thanks so much. This was lovely. Thanks so much.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Bye-bye.